Democracy Radio 104.9 FM Abuja. My name is Faith Onyebuja. Thank you so much for being a part of the program this beautiful Friday morning. I've got a special guest joining me today. We are privileged to have her join us today. We have the manager of West Africa Democracy Radio, Agnes John Thomasi. Thank you so much, ma'am, for making time out to be here with us here on Democracy Radio.
Thank you very much. It's really a joy, a pleasure. I can say even a privilege and an honor to be with all of you in Nigeria, Democracy Radio, like we are called.
I'm telling you, similar names, same continent, different countries. It's good that we can come together and have a synergy, but just, so that we, get to know you a little better in this part of the climb. Can you tell us more about the work being done with WADR, the work being done there?
Yeah, West Africa Democracy Radio, WADR, as you rightly said, is a brainchild of the Open Society Initiative for West Africa, now part of OSF Africa, Open Society Foundations Africa.
Okay.
It was established in 2005 to contribute to the democratic process in West Africa, bringing out with an opportunity to give people that space, that open space to air their views, to bring experts, to talk to people, to bring their issues to the fore. In actual fact, looking at the top-down and bottom-up approach of information sharing that would bring about change, that would contribute to the development process. So we are radio completely focusing on strengthening democracy and democratic principles, looking at the issues of political affairs. We also look at developmental issues in the areas of health, youth development, gender, climate change, natural resources, and the environment. We look at current affairs in that sense when you talk about democracy and politics, human rights, security, which is even what brought us here to look at the security and rights issues relating to what is happening in the Sahel countries of Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, and Nigeria, of course. And these and many things are the things that we do, provide information in the form of news in English and in French, because we are a bilingual broadcaster, and at the same time produce programs with the sole intent of contributing to the development process of West Africa.
Let me just throw that question. How can radio stations like, those in the Sahel region play a role in addressing security concerns and promoting peace and stability? What specific programs or initiatives can be implemented to increase awareness?
I think we'll all agree, because it has been said over and over again, times without number, that information is power. We all agree information is power. Information has the tendency to be able to do things that even money cannot buy. Because when a person is conscientized, when awareness is raised, then informed decisions could be made. And so radio stations, the media has a critical role to play in ensuring that our people are well informed and we give them that power. How do we do that? First and foremost, as we all say, we have our news editions. Yes, the news, we broadcast information, but we know how fast news goes, how professional, how technical it can be at times.
Yes.
So we go into looking at going down to the level of the people, where we produce programs that could be of interest to the people, where you bring out the voices of the people. Mm-hmm. When we talk about security, if I, as a journalist, a broadcaster, and you would sit down here and talk about what we feel, it would have a limit. But if we should go down to that level where it is happening, talk to people being affected, talk to people in the process or within the system where it is taking place, then you would realize that they would be interested to know why their ideas were taken up. They would also be interested to share. You will be wondering, sometimes we do not do it, we do not tap into that rich resource. We look at the experts, the technical analysts, and we talk to them. But the usual everyday people have a lot to say. because they experience a lot, they live with it, they know it, they feel it. And children, women, men, young people are out there wanting to communicate and they don't know where to. So we should be ready to be able to put together ideas to say there's a security issue. Whether we want to talk about it or not, yes, there's a security issue. In Nigeria, there are many. In Niger, like we're saying, there are many. In other countries, Mali, Burkina, how do we get onto the people? What kinds of programs can we produce to ensure that we do not only produce them, but we ensure that they listen to them? And that is why for us, we work in partnership with radio stations, and that's what we're doing with radio stations in Nigeria and other countries, where we produce programs together, we go to the field, and then we come back and we broadcast. When we broadcast, people from the community will hear themselves and they will know that they have been given that opportunity to be able to voice out what they are feeling, not only their feelings, but ideas being proffered as to what could be done to reduce the tension in every country we talk about. So there are lots of ideas, programs that could be produced and broadcast on air. What can we do with our young people on social media? Because we know it. I always say, whether we like it or not, if we have a fish money, we divide it, one for the mobile phone and the rest we use for ourselves. So how do we, work in the area of social media where we know we will meet the majority of young people doing their Instagram, how
Yes.
Facebook.
We call it new media.
New media, yes.
New media.
How do we meet them? What are the programs that interest them? What are the issues that interest them? And how can we coin them together? We know if we sit down and start to go back to our own age and produce from, I will call it the Stone Age, they wouldn't listen. What would interest these young people? They're very crucial and vital in this process, because right now we are not the change makers. Some of us are not the change makers. Above 50, just say you're surviving. The change makers are those young people.
Yes.
That we should develop special programs for and with.
Yes.
I always say for and with.
For and with.
Yes.
We
put them together.
Sort of building, it's sort of like what we're all about here, building a bridge between the governed and
exactly.
those governing. So let me ask this real quickly. What is the strength of partnership for WADR in terms of listenership?
I would say it's an African thing. We broadcast on 94.9 FM in Dakar, which covers Senegal, in West Africa here. But then we have a network of over 100 partner radios. And the strength of these radio stations are our strengths.
Oh, wow.
Because, for instance, now, if we were rebroadcasting through Democracy Radio, whoever you target would be our target. So when we talk to the problem now is we know about audience research, and conducting audience research, it is not easy.
Yeah.
So gathering figures have not been easy for us. Most of the radios we partner with will tell you we cover a range of, like for instance, we're at the border, this is Benin, Togo, we cover up to this area of Togo, more than 300 kilometers, this. Some will be able to tell you we believe we are targeting 500 and something thousand. Some will tell you, so the figures are not static. Mm-hmm. But what we normally tell people is that we have this strong network of good and reputable radio stations we partner with, and they are over 100. And then we are online, where we have a website, wadr.org.
Yeah.
And then we are also on social media. Okay. So putting all those together shows the power of our listenership.
Okay. So I handle a program called Women in Politics. Yeah. And I think it's very important the role women play in today's society. So I think I want to bring this in. The role of women in politics, especially in Africa, has has been an evolving topic, basically. So, in what ways, in your opinion, in what ways have you seen progress in representation for women in political leadership roles in Africa, in Dakar, and what are some of the challenges that you think still exist and need to be addressed?
Women have power as custodians of society, we would say. Women who bring to earth all and sundry. And we all know, based on the niche, I call it a niche because wherever we are as women, we have a role that we can play where we would be listened to or not. But at the same time, we have this, there's this particular gap where it's like, now I see us in the political arena as space providers and creators.
Okay.
We come, we organize, we bring together, we rally people around, but then we encourage people to vote. Who do they vote for? How many women would come out to say, I want to be elected? Including you and me. If the question was asked today,
yes,
will you go out to represent your community, to represent your region? Would you go out to be to stand as a National Assembly representative? Wherever voting takes place, that's where we have problems. We talk about numbers. Yes, we have a lot of women, and most of the countries you go to, women are more than 50%. But at the same time, the same numbers would be in different forms when it comes to voting for women.
Okay.
When it comes to women coming out to say, because also there are many restrictions, societal norms, traditional, cultural barriers, making it very difficult for some to come out and say, I am going to break all these barriers. I believe the support that women should have in order to be able to gain spaces in the political sphere, they do not have. I believe that in Africa, we should give women more respect in that regard, more responsibility and support. This support is very, very key.
Yeah, very
if, as women, we come together, we can come together to support others. But when it comes to supporting, then that's when that's when you will hear all the comments. And it is just the realization whilst we're growing up, especially now, that we know that yes, what you can do, I can do. The way we do it could be different, but we are all human beings. And if we do not reach that level, it will still be women clapping, dancing, speaking on behalf, supporting, and not being supported.
Just this question, we are both called Democracy Radio. The beauty of it, different countries, one continent. But let's look a little at democracy. Now, looking at democracy in Africa as a whole, what are some common trends or challenges that, countries, you've visited here, and also back in Dakar, what are some of the common trends and challenges that countries face in maintaining a democratic system? How can these, challenges be addressed, overcome as briefly as possible?
Sure. When you look at almost all of our countries, how do we govern? Who is governing us? And what governance means? Does governance mean abuse of power? Does governance mean corruption, encouragement? Does governance mean being fair and being interested and focused on developing your country and your people? What does governance mean for us? For me, this is a crucial issue in Africa, in West Africa, that we have to look at. Most of our problems goes back to the issue of governance. And I always say, at each level, you are a National Assembly member, always remember you are representing people. What is good for these people? What do these people want? Am I meeting up to them? You are a minister. How am I working in the system to ensure we have a very robust, result-oriented, respectful, disciplined society, starting from my office? As a permanent secretary, every role that we have to play in governance, how are we playing it? Why do we have Africa so rich yet so poor?
Yeah.
You go to all this, starting from Nigeria to Guinea-Conakry to all of, so rich in resources, natural resources. Yet we have all the other challenges, electricity, water, and all of this. So when you look at our problems, I heard some people talk about poverty. What is the image of poverty when we look at poverty? When we talk about poverty, when people talk about poverty eradication, how do we even start? We have been working on all of this. Attitudes, behaviors in governance, I believe, is a major challenge. And for me, that's why I coin everything to say. And when I talk about governance, sometimes people believe it's just government. For me, I believe at any level you are, in the level of governance, do what you have to do well. Because civil society also is here to complement the efforts of government. Government are structured in such a way they are responsible for the country, but whoever does anything, civil society, us, the media, we all have a role, we all have responsibilities to ensure that we complement the efforts of government. A leader in a media institution, whatever you expect from a government institution, that's what you should be. A leader in a civil society organization, whatever you expect from government. And yes, of course, the government now carries the greater responsibility of ensuring that they respect the will of the people. If the people say this is what we want, that's what a government should go for. So governance, for me, to coin it all, is the issue around our development in this region.
It's so easy to talk with you. It's like we're having fun.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for making time out to be here with us here on Democracy Radio 104.9 FM here in Abuja, Nigeria. If you're just joining us, well, you've missed out on a very interesting conversation. I've been talking with a manager for WADR in the person of Agnes John Thomasi. It's been a pleasure having you here, and I hope we can drag you here again in the future, and looking forward to more collaboration with WADR.
Definitely for us, coming here, seeing all of you and the great work you're doing. We wish you all the best, and definitely looking forward to that opportunity to partner together, to co-produce together, to go to the field together, to do wonderful things
probably
together.
Run exchange programs.
Exactly, and many more. Thank you so much.
All
Thank
right,
you.
my name is Faith Onyebujo. It's been